Pennsylvania is home to a diverse array of native plant species, and few places celebrate that diversity quite like Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve. Nestled in New Hope, Pennsylvania, this 134-acre preserve features 4.5 miles of well-maintained trails that wind through forests and streams, meadows, wetlands, and woodlands, offering visitors the chance to discover more than 700 species of plants native to Pennsylvania. We had originally planned to simply explore the trails.
Some of our native violets. Let's see, just little tiny ones. These happen to be the host plant for a lot of our fritillary butterflies. And look at these, they look like little hedgehogs. This is from the seed pods, I think, of the celandine. And then this looks like woodland grasses.
But our visit quickly became something much more memorable. We had the pleasure of meeting longtime volunteer Jean Berrell, who graciously took us behind the scenes of the preserve's native plant nursery.
Well, we could also, I think I have some of the smaller. Does this fit the
Yep,
chickapin?
that'll fit.
Okay.
There we discovered an incredible collection of herbaceous perennials, shrubs, and trees, all propagated to help gardeners bring native plants into their own landscapes. I may have gone home with a few myself.
Oh, great. Okay, we're gonna trade plants for clothes. We don't have as much space as we would like. We'd love to take home a Liriodendron tulipifera, which is one of these beautiful tulip trees because they grow so straight, so beautiful. We'd love to plant that in our meadow for some shade. But we're going home with some of the smaller plants, so some of the amazing oak palette that they have here. We have white oak and red oak in our forest, but there's scarlet oak, they have bur oak, they have chestnut oak. We got a little chinkapin oak, magnolia, some azaleas here. I got a couple more Celtis as well, which are hackberry trees, which I have a couple already planted, but I figured why not get a couple more? They're really great wildlife trees. And I got two of each of most plants so that there'd be something that they could like procreate with. So we just don't have one of everything. We have a few more days on the road, so hopefully these will travel well with us. Jean.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And you're one of the volunteers here?
Yeah, I've been here forever.
Forever?
Yeah, for a long time.
Since the dawn of time.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. No, I used to be a naturalist and lead walks, and then I kind of gravitated here because I have a yard full of all these things.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And, like I was telling your
This
friend
is like
there,
a kid in a candy store then for you.
Well, actually, no, if we get something new, then I have to grow it. So. And it's really nice that when I work with people, it's like this is what it does. And
Yeah.
I was just telling your friend there, it's just people don't know how to plant or take care of it,
Yeah.
or where they grow and how the conditions matter. So
Yeah.
I really have a lot of fun in the sales force.
That's great. That's fantastic. So
and-
you're doing propagation here
Yes.
too.
So back here, we have a whole lot of different places. It's not always pretty.
Do you collect seed from the
We
wildflower
do.
preserve?
We do. I'll show
Okay.
you. Well, you can start in here. We're trying to get to growing all the little ones by our, the 4-inch pots by
Right.
ourselves. It's very labor intensive, so we're working on that. But these are all from seed that was collected here,
Wow.
pretty much, or some cuttings. Like when we do cutting, like the nursery manager, he'll do cuttings of the hydrangea arborescens, and he'll go to every one on the preserve, so there's genetic diversity.
I was going
Like,
to ask about that with
that's
the
what-
cuttings. Okay.
That's what we try and do, and we only sell straight species and things that are native within 150 miles of here.
When was Bowman's Wildflower Preserve started?
In 1933, there was a
Come
lot
on
of
here.
camping that was going on down in the lower part of the park. Nobody
Uh-huh.
had air conditioning, and that people picnicked and camped. So they took, the state took this property by eminent domain, and then they were going to just turn it all into camping and picnicking. And there was someone from the Department of Forest and Waters and a biologist from the University of Pennsylvania and a garden club lady, and they're walking up the hill here and looking at the rare plants. Said we should save this. And that was 1933, and by 1934 it became the State Wildflower Preserve. And their goal was to grow everything here as a safe place for everything that grew in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Which it surprises me that they were that aware of the loss at that point.
It's so, wow, it's so early on.
Yeah. So
And then,
there's a lot of growing pains because what grows in Erie doesn't grow here. So we have, of the 2,100 or so native species in Pennsylvania, we have over 700 of them growing on the preserve.
Do you have elm in the, did I see elm in the understory?
You may have,
okay.
yeah. Because elms are popping. I have elms in my yard. They're popping up all over the place. And they're getting quite large. So
Does it get Dutch elm disease anymore, or?
I'm waiting to see, but quite a few of them. I think the resistant ones have just kind of been the ones that are around.
That was shocking to see some of them in the
I
neighborhood.
know.
So it was nice
I didn't
to
even
see.
ID them in my yard. It was like, that's an elm. No, it can't be.
Yeah.
No.
And then these are just some of your larger plants that you're propagating, or?
So this is where we propagate up from the plug trays. And we have a couple growers that we use that are, neonicotinoid free and that sort of thing, and pretty organic. They do local seed collection.
Now, are your wildflowers or are your woodies most popular, or is it kind of like half and half?
In the beginning of the year, it's woodies. We're starting now to go more into plants. It kind of goes back and forth. We've really had trouble keeping the plants in stock.
There's so much demand.
There is demand, and the labor involved and the people with the pot. But this is not the nice. This is the crap area, pretty much.
We all have one of those areas at least.
Yeah, there's a restoration nursery, Octoraro nursery near here that they used to just grow really pure restoration, and the young couple took over, and that's why we have Quercus prenoides and all those kinds of things.
That's cool.
And we saw them at the trade show. It's like, you're growing. People have asked for that. There are a few people who know that there is a shrubby oak.
Right.
They got really excited.
Yeah.
So this is stock that we have that will,
and you get some
certainly sell this out during the year.
Dogwoods and things, and this looks like serviceberry, perhaps? Yeah, serviceberry.
No, that would be an aronia.
Aronias, okay, aronias.
Serviceberry, Robin Wall Kimmerer wrote that book, and serviceberry's the other one you can't find.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they're pretty well done. So these are the hoop houses, and the shade cloths are like 30%, 50%, 70% for what we put in them, and then we store the woodies in between.
So these aren't for sale yet. They're still
no. The red flag means
you get some pacra right here.
Lots of it is just it's ready, but it's not rooted yet. And that's just takes 4 to 6 weeks.
And these are also seeds that you're collecting from the Wildflower
Some
Preserve?
of these are that, and some of them we've gotten in
okay, so
the
it's
plugs.
a combination. Yeah.
We're trying to get more and more of what we collect ourselves, but it's a process.
Very nice.
Ferns are they take forever to root. Yeah, obviously not cleaned up, but.
And this is 70% shade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so trilliums, a lot of them we get in bare root, and we can't sell them until the next year.
Right.
We pot up during the winter.
And Jeffersonia diphylla over here. And, And then Asarum.
Yeah. Now, some of these were from here, where there's excess in the gardens and all. We'll pot them and see what we can get.
Well, the trails are really nicely maintained here, I have to say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. We've learned things like the hot, dry, and ignored plants seem to do much better on gravel because when they're on the shade cloth, first of all, they get too much water back there. But they drain better. And these are the conditions like the pussy toes.
Yeah.
And
I heard the gentleman who was giving a tour that he had some American ladies on the pussy toes.
These have just been potted up, and you'll see them. There's a patch right up by the.
I saw that by
floor.
the restrooms, I think.
And I have pearly everlasting. They were
Yeah.
destroyed.
Destroyed.
I love it.
But you
Yeah.
love it. You love
Oh,
it,
yeah,
right?
I know.
I mean,
So a
that's part
friend
of the
was
reason
over.
why you plant it or have
Yeah,
it.
we sold out of all that, but a
Yeah.
friend was over and we just talked about, oh boy, our plants are wrecked.
Yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a nettle patch that I've kept because, you know, question mark and comma and
Well, and I
admiral.
harvest them too.
Yeah.
I haven't one. I'll only let it be about this big,
Yeah.
but I'll harvest them in the spring.
Yeah, the spring is the nicest time to harvest them, but right about now is when they start to get
Oh, is it?
defoliated from our caterpillars.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My wood nettle does, but my the stinging hasn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out too.
Yeah.
So over here this is just emptied out. We have a plant grant program where nonprofits can get, and a lot of them are schools or libraries, that sort of thing. We'll give them 100 plants. They apply for it. And that just got emptied out we do them in the spring and
That's
the
great.
fall. We really like that program.
That's great
a lot
that
of
there's a
schools
lot
in
of
Philadelphia.
yeah, that will
there
apply.
are some of them that are, and this is from our curation area. They keep things, and these are plants that can take the full sun along here. In a little while, this will be jammed and there won't be any room for them. So as we wait, these should be ready soon. But
Later, Sonder and I walked around Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve.
Oh yeah, these are all tulip poplars, Sonder. All these big beasts. We have, strangely, one little seedling growing up in the meadow house garden somehow. I think it hitched a ride on one of my plants. We could get one planted in the meadow, it'll grow really big. Ooh, a hickory. I think these are shellbark hickories. This is a rubus flower. It's related to the roses. So you got a little seedling of a tulip poplar right next to poison ivy. And you could tell this is poison ivy because it has the 3 leaves, it's vining, and it has this long throat right here on that middle part of that leaf. This may look like poison ivy, but it has the 5 leaves. And this is our native Virginia creeper, or Parthenocistus quinquefolia. Sometimes it's called 5 fingers. When it's first starting out, sometimes it only has 3 leaves. So it could look a little like a poison ivy look-alike. All these cordate or heart-shaped leaves are native violets. You could see that they're forming a really nice patch here. It looks like these beech have that beech leaf disease, unfortunately, where the leaves are puckering. Beeches have both the beech bark disease and the beech leaf disease here, which is unfortunate. You know, you have ash in here, you have beech, and you have hemlock. And you have emerald ash borer, beech bark and beech leaf disease, and woolly adelgid affecting all of those trees respectively. So a lot of our forests are coming under quite a lot of bombardment. Oh, and then this looks like a viburnum, Viburnum acerifolium. Hard to find this in the trades. Looks like it just flowered. I love the illustrations here. Look at this little robin. Viburnum acerifolium right here too. So this little cabin was built in the 1930s. It appears to be old chestnut logs that were harvested on site prior to the chestnut blight wiping out most of the chestnut trees in the US. Can't really get a sense of the size of these. Remember we went to that remnant old growth forest, Smith Woods, and there was a number of trees that blew down, and then there was a bunch of Liriodendron tulipifera that came up, and he said, this you could tell that there was a big light patch and things fell down, and they grew really tall and really straight because they need that light to germinate. So I'm assuming if we put them in the meadow, they'll get a lot of light.
Sonder, there's like a little turtle right here. We have more great tours lined up here at Flock, and we'll be back in our own gardens and landscapes soon enough as well. You can like, subscribe, hit the notifications button, and even become a member of the channel to help us grow. We'll see you in the next video.